With all the violence involved in professional wrestling, there are many events, matches, and scenes that are not meant for the eyes of younger viewers. Here are the top 10 WWE moments that should never be watched by kids. Pillman's got a gun. When the WWE shows us action in the ring, backstage, or even in the parking lot, it's safe to assume it's all part of the act. However, viewers were confused and shocked when Stone Cold broke into an injured Brian Pillman's house during an interview in 1996, as the scene seemed convincingly real. On top of the fact that Pillman was brandishing a gun, something unheard of in wrestling at the time, and an action that received much backlash from the USA Network. Pillman also dropped numerous F-bombs that made it into the live broadcast. Even though subsequent versions have been edited for language, this is still a scene that's inappropriate for younger viewers. A nightly sacrifice. Prior to the formation of the Ministry of Darkness in '99, wrestler Dennis Knight was kidnapped by the Acolytes and held prisoner in preparation for a sacrifice. Although we've seen The Undertaker perform numerous rituals over the years, this one was particularly gruesome. The scene featured the dead man slitting his own wrists and collecting the blood in a cup before feeding it to the convulsing Knight, who was strapped to a table as ominous organ music played. A symbol was then carved into Knight's bleeding chest before lightning struck the stage, and the eerie scene reached its creepy culmination. Hanging out. WWE's Hell in a Cell matches are especially gruesome and violent, and although several came close to making our list, this spot goes to the one that actually drew very little blood. After The Undertaker defeated Big Boss Man at WrestleMania 15, a noose was lowered into the ring, slipped around the loser's neck, and it, along with the entire cage, began to slowly rise into the air. Big Boss Man disturbingly struggled for a few moments before finally going limp, and presumably dying before the arena lights faded to black. This entire post-match scene was deemed so shocking that it was later left off some broadcasts and home releases. Vince dogs a diva. 16 years ago, Vince McMahon himself was involved in arguably the most offensive and sexist moment in professional wrestling history. In an attempt to humiliate Trish Stratus, Vince demanded she get on all fours and bark like a dog, which she did. If that wasn't enough, he also insisted she strip naked, which the announcers inappropriately encouraged as well. Obviously, Vince was playing his heel character at the time, but many fans nevertheless felt uncomfortable during this revolting, inexcusable display by the WWE, something that should never be shown to kids. Katie Vick's funeral. In the early 2000s, Kane was embroiled in a bitter feud with Triple H, and Trips accused him of committing necrophilia against a former unrequited love named Katie Vick. He even claimed there was a video of the fiendish act, which actually showed Triple H dressed as Kane talking to, undressing, and simulating sex on a mannequin in a casket for 6 excruciatingly long minutes. At the scene's conclusion, the wrestler grabbed a handful of spongy material and incredulously claimed that he had screwed her brains out, making the whole scene and storyline obviously inappropriate for children. In fact, it's probably best if adults don't watch this travesty either. This guy is on fire. Things weren't easy for Kane in 2003. In addition to struggling with his turbulent past, he had been beaten, unmasked, and humiliated by his wrestling peers. Attempting to calm him down, Jim Ross, also frequently the butt of jokes, met with Kane backstage and expressed empathy for his situation. In response, the monster wrestler doused JR with gasoline and set him aflame. Ross then sizzled and screamed in full view of the camera for entirely too long, before frantic medics rushed in to tend his lifeless body as the scary scene suddenly ended. Eddie takes a cut. For the first 15 minutes of WWE's Judgment Day 2004 championship bout between JBL and Eddie Guerrero, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. It was then that Guerrero was hit by a metal chair just after he accidentally bladed an artery in his forehead instead of a vein. We're used to seeing fake blood in the WWE from time to time, but this was as real could be, evidenced by the fact that the blood was visibly pouring down from Guerrero's face. Dazed and weakened, Eddie somehow managed to compete for another 9 minutes, even with blood completely covering his face and most of the canvas. Due to the extreme unprecedented violence, this event was tagged with a rare TVMA rating. The Boogeyman drops in. The Boogeyman is frightening enough on appearance alone, especially when he's chowing down on a handful of worms or spitting them on his opponents. However, some moments have been especially sinister, like the Boogeyman surprising Booker T and Sharmell backstage prior to WrestleMania 22. To be fair, this actually happened more than once, but it's hard to decide on a single moment when they both involve the boogeyman suddenly appearing upside down under the black and red lights while he laughs maniacally and oozes from the mouth. WWE goes XXX. There was no sugarcoating it. To celebrate his first WWE Championship win in 2006, Edge said he'd have hot, unbridled sex with Lita live in the ring on the next Raw. When Monday night came around, Edge delivered just as he promised, with 5 long, awkward minutes of barely clothed foreplay that showed us much more of the duo and their relationship than we ever wanted to see. Although silly and completely unrelated to wrestling, the segment earned the WWE its highest ratings in a year. Let's just hope no kids were watching. The Wyatt family promos. Almost everything the Wyatt family does is creepy, disturbing, and capable of scaring little children, making it hard to pick one moment. However, it's hard to top a promo that opens with Bray proclaiming, "Parents, I need you to stop lying to your children and telling them monsters aren't real," accompanied by sinister imagery of fire ants, animal masks, and an insane hillbilly family. The promo gets a little soft in its second half, but by then, most children will already have run out of the room. And this concludes our list. What do you think? Would you let your kids watch these moments? Tell us in the comments section below, and don't forget to like and share this video. Also, be sure to follow the Sportster's YouTube channel for more action.